It's one of Disney's most ambitious live-action adventures, and one that took the world 20,000 leagues beneath the waves. Today, we dive deep into the 1954 classic 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea to ask the question, does this underwater epic still hold water? Or has it sunk after all these years?
The motion picture screen explodes with unprecedented power as the two masters of imagination, Jules Verne and Walt Disney, join to bring you a shattering new experience in entertainment.
Then, will Seth stump me on trivia? Or will I navigate my way to the answer before Captain Nemo cuts the line?
Did Gregory Peck audition for the role of Captain Nemo, true or false?
And of course, how are we going to rate it? Are you going to take it home? Are you going to watch it at Grandma's? Or are you going to hide it in the attic? So grab your favorite snack, like some fresh caught seafood, or anything that didn't get grabbed by that giant squid, because we are going deep. This is Movies at Grandma's House. Hello, please come in. There's some fresh cookies in the cookie jar. There's a pitcher of Kool-Aid on the counter. Have a seat and make yourself comfortable. Welcome to Movies at Grandma's House, where we love to revisit movies from our childhood and answer the question, does it still hold up? And is it family-friendly enough that even Grandma can enjoy? And I am your host, Isaac. What you fail to understand is the power of hate. It can fill the heart as surely as love can.
And I'm Seth. Sorry I had to wallop you, Professor, but there wasn't time to stop for souvenirs.
Oh, it is so nice to see you, Seth. This is going to be a fun one, I can already tell. Just as a reminder for the ones at home, what is Grandma putting on for us to watch this visit?
20,000 Leagues Under the Sea.
So if you've never heard of this film, never seen it before, be forewarned. We are going into spoiler territory. You have been warned. Well, let's learn a little bit more about this movie. Again, it's been many years ago, but let's jump into some film facts. So 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea was released back on December 23rd, 1954. It had a budget of $5 million. The box office, $28.2 million. Looking around at some reviews, IMDb is at a 7.2 out of 10. Rotten Tomatoes, 91%. Letterboxd, 3.6 out of 5. Currently, as of this recording, you can watch it for free on Disney+. It stars Kirk Douglas, James Mason, Paul Lucas, and Peter Lorre, among many others. It's in association with Walt Disney Productions. And last but not least, we have to know, how does Grandma feel about this one?
Granny's family-friendly rating for 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea is a B- for action, drinking, and smoking.
Right. There's actually some adult themes in here. A lot of different things you wouldn't expect from Disney, coming from now 70 plus years ago that this film is. I can't get over that, but just be forewarned, there's a little bit there. It's not too bad, but for the most part, you're going to have little things here and there with the times. But we'd love to hear from you. If you have any memories, you have a rating, we'd love to hear it. So be sure you comment down below. We see you out there. Seth, what do you think, though? Those are the film facts. Does anything stick out to you?
Yeah, the budget and gross is quite huge numbers, especially for back then. To be able to invest that much money into a picture back then is, I would say that nothing had reached over that by that time. I mean, I wouldn't think that's a lot of money back then.
Yeah. $5 million is still a lot today. I mean,
it is.
But whatever.
You can make an indie film for that.
Right.
Yeah.
But you're talking 70 years ago, inflation. We need to get one of those calculators and put it into perspective.
Oh, yeah.
I agree with you. So that did kind of jump out to me too. But I just want to throw that out there. When we go through those film facts, there's sometimes things that stick out. That is something maybe we'll touch on a little bit more in some the fun facts as well. But let's jump into this. Let's start from the beginning. I'm interested to know, what are your first memories with the movie?
So believe it or not, it's safe to say I've never seen this till now.
Oh, wow. Really?
Yes.
But you've heard of it and everything. It's just you never watched it.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm familiar. I mean, Captain Nemo and everything. Yeah, and the Nautilus. I know about it. I just have never seen it all the way through, or I don't even think I've seen clips of it even, actually.
Oh my goodness, I cannot wait to get into this more than that's what this podcast is all about. It's just sometimes you've seen this movie many times growing up, or you've never even watched it or seen clips of it. So on my side, I remember watching it but it was kind of fresh because it had been years, like a long time. And I was so young, I don't think I understood the content. Kind of talking about Granny's family-friendly rating, I didn't catch a lot of the adult themes and other things in it that we'll probably touch on a little bit more. I have more memories of the ride at Disney World. There was a
Okay.
ride that you would go on, and that's one of my early memories, actually. It just, you think back, what's the earliest memory you have? And I remember it was just on this track, and it shows like you're going underwater. There's like windows that showed the effects. And I'm trying to think that would have been 30, 40 years ago. I remember just being blown away by the effects. And I'm a little guy. I don't know how old I was at the time, but there was the part with the squid. There was like a window and the squid coming through, and that terrified me as a kid. I mean, I thought it was a real squid. Of course, it's special effects and whatnot, but it must have been good because, I mean, I still think about it to this day. I still have that memory. It got real dark, and it's like you're in the Nautilus and the squid. So those are actually my memories. It's funny. I have more memories of that ride than the actual movie. So kind of in a similar boat, or, submarine, whatever you want to call it, as you, just fresh. But I got to know then, if you've never seen it, what was your expectations?
Really just a hope to enjoy. And I'll throw in a fun fact. I wasn't going to mention this, but now that you brought it up, the actual ride, they used parts of the set from the movie on the
Really?
actual ride. Yeah, I found that in some research. So that's pretty cool.
Oh, that's so cool. So I got to
Yeah.
see it in person. I got to see
Yeah.
some of the effects because I can faintly, again, it's so fuzzy. It was early memory, but that is so cool. Wow. To think I got to see some of the props and things used. So
Yeah.
that's awesome. I was thinking to myself, I hope this holds up 70
Yeah.
years later. And I give it the perspective whenever I'm going into movies like this, that movie making and things, you gotta have to just adjust. Maybe that's just a me thing, but I can appreciate older movies for sure. But that was kind of my expectations of, I need to make sure I'm ready for this. Don't just jump in like this just came out yesterday. And of course, just make sure it's something good for the kids, which we'll talk about more. Maybe there's some things to look out for, but there's just the usual, something that I can watch with the kiddos. Well, before we get to the plot rewind, let's pause just a moment to hear from our sponsors. Hey, love movies as much as we do? Then bring the experience of the theater to your walls with movieposters.com. Whether you're into the classics, the blockbusters, or indie gems, they have something for every single film fanatic. As a listener of our podcast, you can save up to 15% on your order right now. Just use code Grandma's House at checkout. Head to movieposters.com and let's build your ultimate collection today. All right, in this case, it had to be on VHS for the time. So let's do that. Let's take the VHS out of the cover. Let's put it in the VCR and press play.
In the 1800s, the oceans are no longer a peaceful place. Captain Nemo sees to that. As a ship goes to investigate a series of mysterious sinkings, we find a huge secret ship killer. Will it end happily ever after? Find out today as Grandma puts on an old classic.
Very nice. So it's very interesting watching this today. I gotta say, it's one of those groundbreaking movies. Whenever you look up the history of this film, there's a lot of Disney wanting this to be their best foot forward. They put a lot of emphasis on this film. They wanted to break free from their animation. This was kind of we're proving we're an actual movie studio. Yeah. And I kind of pick up on that a little bit, but it's a little bit of you got to get used to it. I'll be honest with you. Like, my first impression was like, what am I watching? Because this is just a different experience than I remember. Remember the big squid? That's kind of the big trademark of this film. But if you were to ask me what this film was about, I would have got it wrong. So I got to know if you had a similar experience. I mean, what's your first impressions? And especially since you've never seen it before.
I wasn't quite sure what I was watching either, but I caught along. I caught on. It was later on as it went on. But so quite an undertaking. This must have been a grand movie back then. I can only imagine what it was like seeing that in theaters. Like, just nothing like that had ever been done before. So I can't imagine how shocking it was. You know what I mean? To see that on the big screen.
I was thinking the same thing. Like, I get the hype and the respect that this movie has had, because in pop culture, like, if you've never seen it before, you heard about it. And that's why I was interested, again, 70 years ago, but I was like, you've had to have heard of it, because the giant squid, it was like the big moment. The movie has some kind of big moment, and they didn't hold back of like, look, there's a big squid in this, and it's pretty awesome. I'm going to admit, like, going to maybe some things, I'll admit, look a little dated and you got to get used to it, it still holds up pretty well, like the squid scene. I know that's jumping way ahead. That's towards the end, but that was one thing that was an impression that made on me was, wow, 70 years ago, this is an intense scene. And you can tell it's, practical effects and all that stuff, but it works. It works so well when you're talking about the intensity of the story and all those things that we're going to get into. But that is exactly what you're saying. It's just that it kind of get into it once the movie gets going. You definitely get into it a lot more compared to the beginning. The beginning was kind of it was a different experience for me personally. But interested to hear your takes, since again you've never seen this. Of like, what did you think of the story and the plot overall?
So it feels like a complicated plot. However, it's not all that complex. In my mind, it was kind of straightforward. The action kind of told the story. There's dialogue, but I would say the action kind of compels the rest of the picture. The plot wasn't. I don't know. I kind of expected a little bit more, but I guess they did what they could back then. I don't know how else to say that, but it's kind of true.
Yeah. It's a fun plot, just the whole adventure. I would guess that's how I would put it, because they think there's this sea monster that's making these ships sink and it's attacking. So they have this crew that, gets put together. We'll get into the characters, but they are assigned to take care of this monster. Come to find out, it's this advanced submarine that is piloted by the famous Captain Nemo. That's a name, you've probably heard in some point or another, but it's just interesting. Like you said, it sounds kind of complex because he stumbled upon that. He has this crew. It's like advanced and they do all these different things. And he has this hatred towards mankind, but it's that search of all of mankind isn't bad. And that's pretty much the glimpse of it. I mean, spoilers, he ends up dying at the end and goes down with the sub along with his crew. Some of them escape, but that's pretty much, I mean, like you said, it does seem layered, but it's not. That's just pretty much the premise of it.
It seems like it's going somewhere that it doesn't. And it kind of feels a little bit heavy at times. But if you think about the initial plot, it kind of just tells that same singular story throughout.
Yeah, exactly. It's pretty simple, and I think that's what you would want probably from a Disney movie. That's I go back to there. If you do look up the history, they were trying to break free of that animation, but they didn't want to go too far away from it's a family film. So I think keeping it simple. This is based off of a novel where I'm sure they could have gone more complex if they wanted to, but they kept it on the more simple side. I agree with you. There's things I was looking at, like there's some plot holes you can really dissect if you really wanted to. The fact that, they leave the people that, it's the scientist and Kirk Douglas plays Ned Land. He's this harpoon specialist, whatever you want to call him, master harpoonist. And they just kind of leave him alone, like on the sub. And it's like, why are they just letting him roam and get into stuff? And
I thought about that too.
Yeah. Okay. I'm glad it bothered me for some reason. And I know that's how movies were kind of made back then, that kind of logic didn't really come in. It's just telling you a story. So you got to put that kind of stuff out of your mind. But I will admit that was one flaw. I'll be like, okay, there should have been a little bit more of maybe they sneak out a little better, because they were sneaking, but there's nobody around. It was you don't need to sneak around, because everybody, I guess, just goes to their quarters and goes to sleep, or they don't stay on the main concourse. I don't know. But that was a little nitpick I had about it in terms of the story. But kind of touched on a little bit. I'm interested to hear your thoughts. What did you think of the characters?
So I saw the characters were actually pretty interesting. However, I felt like the acting, other than Kirk Douglas, was missing some things. And I will say, I'll give him praise. I thought he did an amazing job with the script that he was given. And I hope that he improvised, because it felt like him. And so it was just a really good job on his part. But I felt like all the other characters kind of were missing something.
That's interesting you say that. I kind of did a little research. I didn't dive in too deep, but I guess Kirk Douglas wasn't the big focal point. It was Captain Nemo. That was played by James Mason. He was kind of getting the attention. I think he does a good job, but I would agree with you. I think Kirk Douglas kind of steals the show more.
Yes.
He brings that energy, and he's kind of that comic relief, which you need in a movie like this. There's a lot of deep topics going back to Captain Nemo has this hatred towards mankind, and he's talking about all this and that. And then you have Kirk Douglas' character who's just kind of like, whatever, gotta go with the flow. So it balances it out. I think if you didn't have his character, Ned, this would have been a lot darker of a movie. So it works well. I like his interactions with the seal, Esmeralda.
Yes.
They play off of each other. And I think that was well done, those scenes, because you're thinking animal trainers and such and those types of things. But I kind of agree with you. Like, it wasn't amazing. I wouldn't say it was terrible acting, but there wasn't anything special about it other than Kirk Douglas. I think maybe back then that was good acting on the part of James Mason, but I think he was just okay. I mean, he did a good job, and that is a deep character.
I
So
thought when he was dying, it was kind of
and
ridiculous.
yes, that was something I was going to bring out. Like, that's another gripe I had. He gets shot, again, jumping ahead to the end. He gets shot, and it's like he's what, like an hour later, and still like captaining the ship and steering. Yeah. I get it. That's maybe the acting back then, but I don't remember being like that. I do agree. It was a little over the top and just, I don't know.
It's a little cringy.
Yeah, it was cringy. That's a great word. Yes, cringy is the way I would put it. But yeah, I do like Peter Lorre though. He's just
yes, I did enjoy his. Yeah, I enjoyed
great.
his flavor,
and he played that role. He's famous for those types of roles, and that was perfect. I'm like, yeah, that if you're going to cast an actor in that kind of role, just kind of that he sides with Ned. They're trying to go against what Nemo is about, and he's going along with Ned, so he's kind of sneaking around. I go back to sneaking around, but they're not really. They're more focusing on the gold, the treasure that Captain Nemo acquired, but he views it as worthless. His treasure is more about discovery.
Yeah.
So I like Peter Lorre's character, though. He plays, I think his name was Consul, and it just kind of, I don't know, it's kind of fun to see him there through pop culture and references to him. But I do agree, overall the characters were just okay. I was expecting, maybe my expectations were a little high on the character part of it, but yeah, anything else that you want to throw in there? It can be anything of quotes or things like that.
So there's a quote and a scene I'd like to get to. So the quote, it's my own recipe, saute unborn octopus. I don't know why that strikes me as funny.
I got a kick out of that one too. And then that goes back to the character as well, bringing that, like, the lightedness. It needed that. It could have been a lot deeper. Yeah.
Yes. Oh, yes. This could have been a heavy film. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a scene. I like the scene when he plays and sings for the crew towards the beginning of the movie. In that scene, not only is he lightening the mood, but gaining their trust, and this works well with the film going forward. So I really like that. That, believe it or not, I like that song too. It was cute. So I'm glad they put that in there.
Yeah. It's a nice song, but it's not a family-friendly song.
No, I should have mentioned that. I apologize.
It's a catchy song. I do agree. Like, I'm not disagreeing with you there, but that was a note I put. I was like, this isn't really a family-friendly song for Disney, but this isn't the first time we've talked about not family-friendly songs in a Disney movie.
Very true.
Maybe it was one of the first ones, but yeah, I do appreciate how he was kind of like this harpoon master, but he also was this musician. He kind of was you can tell, the jokester of the bunch on different crews he's been on, because they're more of like a hired crew. They're just kind of thrown in together. You've seen that kind of story in other films, other books, or things like that, but that's what he is. And that's why I think his character's so charming. He just kind of could fit in with any kind of crew, throw him in there. It's not just, I'm here to do a job. It's also, okay, let's have some fun. And he picks up the ukulele and has some fun with it. But overall, like with the quotes, I think they were really gunning for the special effects. They were really wanting to bring out, look how amazing these effects are. And they are actually, when you really think about it. I go back to that squid scene. That's probably the highlight of this movie. As much as you can nitpick it all day of certain parts, maybe you could see the practical effects. I think it's solid. Even today, that's saying something, a 70-plus-year-old film. It was perfect for just capping Ned's character, because up to that point, he was kind of on Nemo's bad side, but he jumps in, saves Nemo, and it's a great scene. I think that's probably the best scene in the movie, obviously. I mean, they marketed that. That's highlighting. But to me, it lived up to the hype. Like, it'd been years since I'd seen that scene. I was still kind of, maybe it's just me, but I'm like, this is something I could tell, seeing that for the first time. If you saw that on the big screen, that would be like, wow, because I was impressed. I mean, I'm watching this on a normal TV today, modern day, and I was still like, this is really interesting, like really good. And it just goes along with the story really well. So that's about all I can say on that. I mean, in terms of like quotes, like I was saying, there wasn't many. There was a scene where Nemo says, "Eat your pudding, Mr. Land," and it's Ned. He's like, "I ain't sure it's pudding." That was funny. I got to chuckle out of that one. So, but overall, yeah, I think their focus was going to be more on the special effects. You'll see that,
Yeah.
especially as you're watching it. But again, 70 years old. I know there's got to be some good fun facts, so let's hear them.
All right. So the underwater footage was shot in the Bahamas at the same location as the silent 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea set back in 1916, which is talking about really old then.
Wow. Yeah, man. But I could see that Bahamas area. I bet they enjoy that then.
Yeah.
Good scenery to be shooting a film in. Like that,
Oh,
that would
yeah.
be a dream for me. Obviously Hawaii and those, but Bahamas,
Yeah.
yeah, I think they had a good time with it then.
They probably did, especially if your budget's that high. If you're probably less stressed if it's low budget. So yeah, I think or more stressed if it's a low budget, high stress. Anyway, I'm
Yeah.
talking in circles. So the next one I found, you'll like this. Peter Lorre claimed that the giant squid got the role that he usually is reserved for.
I love that. That's awesome. I love it. He just seemed like a cool guy. Like he just,
Yeah.
hang out with, have some conversation with. I love that. That's a really good one.
And another one was one of the models of the Nautilus created by Harper Goff was a squeezed version, which could be filmed with a standard lens and still look normal when projected in CinemaScope. So I'm guessing it was like a toy,
Yeah.
and it looks real with the way they shot it.
I could kind of see that. Yeah, you need wide shots, like if it's going by. And I do wonder how they filmed like the actual ocean, because at the beginning it's like just lights and it's going through the water and, it rams into the ship. I wonder, obviously, if that was a full scope, but maybe they would cut to like a toy. That's how the effects were done. That's still pretty interesting.
It's intriguing to find out that they did kind of trickery to get the movie to work. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Another one is Kirk Douglas' salary was $175,000, the most that Walt Disney had paid to any actor at that point.
Maybe that's why he was so happy. You could tell he was happy about the movie.
That's a lot of money back then.
Yes.
That's a lot of money.
If I was the most paid by Disney at that time, I would just be like, you know what? Let's just go with it. Let's have fun. And that played into his character. I don't know. Maybe he's just, respect to Kirk Douglas. He's a great actor, but maybe that helped add to his character a little bit. Who knows?
Could have. All right. It's time for a fun fact trivia question. Are you ready?
I'm ready to go.
Another true or false?
All right.
True or false, did Gregory Peck audition for the role of Captain Nemo? True or false?
He just auditioned. Like he didn't get it and maybe back out or something. Like just audition. Sounds true. I'm going to go with that.
It's true. You got it right.
All right. I go back to, I guess they wanted, James Mason more, but that would have been interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Try and think about that. I love those what ifs though. Just
yeah. They're really
an
interesting.
actor in a different actor in that character role. But I don't know. The what ifs. I don't know. I don't know what kind of film that'd be like when I'm thinking about it. But yes, another trivia question I have. So you didn't stump me this time, Seth. Maybe next time. So
all right.
Okay, well, before we get to our rating, we like to look around the net and especially how old this movie is. I'm sure there's some interesting reviews out there. So, Seth, what are you seeing?
They were mostly favorable. So I'm really, that's cool. So the Little Songbird said, very impressive, 8 out of 10.
Okay, 8 out of 10. I can see the impressive. I can't go on enough just what it would be like to watch this back when it came out. I'm going back to movies we've considered. I know Singing in the Rain was like a couple years before that. So think movies like that or other ones. I just use that as an example. There's other movies I've seen around that time. And it's like, yeah, I kind of understand that. Like Disney really wanted to get some hype on their live action. And I'm sure they did. For sure.
The next one was Moonspinner55 says, exciting adventure story given beautiful Walt Disney production, 7 out of 10.
Okay, yeah, another favorable, more positive on that. That is, again, we talked about the plot like we weren't too impressed with it, but it's a solid plot. I don't think we can really complain about it. It's just maybe it left a little desired by today's standards. I wish it was a little bit better.
So the last one I found was Metacognizant said a cinematic wonder of 1954.
That's right. Yeah. I again, it's a good way to put it. Wonder, just back then, the 50s. It's I think it impressed me today. If that's just me, the squid. I can't imagine what it was like watching that for the first
Yeah.
time. It had to be
Yeah.
something. So I have a few here that are on not only Threads, but also Instagram. So if you want to play along, have some fun, we love hearing comments and memories. So starting with Threads, this one was from Alyssa. She said, "What a great movie. I've always loved this one." So love to hear that, like the nostalgia and the memories. I go back to, it'd been years since I've seen this, but I want to say it was probably at my grandma's at one point we had this on. It's
Wow.
just fuzzy memory. So I love hearing that. Like you love this one growing up. This one is from Chris Wyhart 32292. Brings this out. Winner of 2 Oscars, Best Art Direction and Best Special Effects. The first fully live action Disney movie to win Oscars aside from documentaries and shorts. So kind of gave a fun fact. I love that as well. You can also share any fun facts as well. And I think that kind of goes to the point, right? This won 2 Oscars.
Yeah, I'm glad they pointed that out because I meant to say something about that. When I was doing research on it, I was like, did this win any Oscars? And of course, it was special effects. So that's really
Hey,
cool.
yeah. So that speaks volumes right there. Like that won 2 Oscars, in fact.
Wow.
And the best special effects, I would say that's not any surprise. Like that was probably just mind blowing back then. But we also have one more. This one is on our Instagram, so you can also follow us there. We like to post out ahead of time movies we're covering. This is from Cam, the movie man. Said, "Love this movie. The special effects for the time were awesome. I also love Kirk Douglas is in anything he's in." There, tripped over myself, but I agree.
You're fine.
Those are perfect. That's a perfect way to put it. The special effects,
Yes.
I think you take into consideration, and this is 70 years ago, it's still awesome to behold.
Yeah.
Just put yourself in that mindset. And yeah, Kirk Douglas, he's just great. Just wonderful charisma that comes across on the screen. So that is the review part of it, but we also like to put it through the kid test. I'm going to be honest, all but one were just kind of, this isn't my thing. They just didn't really want to watch it. On the flip side, I have a 10-year-old, I have an 8-year-old, a 6-year-old, and a 3-year-old. My 8-year-old wanted to watch this. He read the book like a book. It was more of the children's version, not the full novel, but he really liked it. And
Wow.
he was looking forward to watching it. He liked it, but he did say that was really sad, like the
Aw.
ending. So he enjoyed it. It just was a little on the, kind of sad, darker side of
Yeah.
things. So as far as kid test, I don't know if it's going to be for every kid. I could see some of them, like my 8-year-old, that love that sci-fi, maybe futuristic wonder. And that is maybe a knock on this one, is it's hard to put yourself. You got to go back a little bit. It's taking place in the 1800s. So put that out of your mind. This is futuristic, but obviously it seems maybe a little dated in some areas, but it's still that cool wonder in that sense some kids could maybe latch on to. Just be forewarned, there's, like we talked about, there's the obvious like smoking and stuff, and the few like lines in that song Whale of a Tale. It's a fun song, like don't get me wrong, it's something to be aware of. This might be something grandma kind of gasps a little bit at, so just something to be aware of. Okay, it is now time to put our official certification, our official stamp on it. So let's start with you, Seth. Got to ask you the question. For 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, how are you going to rate it? Are you going to take it home? Are you going to watch it at grandma's? Or are you going to hide it in the attic?
I'm sure that when this came out, it was quite the spectacle. The production was beyond the times, like we've mentioned several times in this podcast. But I don't have nostalgia for this one, and I felt like that was maybe needed. But I also felt like the acting was pretty bad, not including Kirk. So I have to hide this in the attic.
I understand that. I understand it. We talked about it. There's some flaws in this movie, and I think respect needs to be shown to this movie, like what it did and what it can really, pun intended, the ripple effects of it today. I saw a lot of the way we were talking about, like practical effects, how they were done. There's a scene with even that again. Adult themes. There's cannibals in this movie. We didn't really touch
Yeah, we didn't talk about that.
Yeah, there's stuff like that randomly in this movie, but what I'm calling to mind is the cannibals actually chase Ned back to the sub, and they get shocked. It's a part of the technology of a defense mechanism.
Yeah.
That part was actually animated because Disney, I guess, wanted to be on set. He was really heavily watching what they were doing, wanted it to be live action, but that was actually like cartoon animated. And I
Okay.
actually didn't notice it at first. So again, the practical effects are so good of like the times, thinking of this was made back in the 50s and it still holds up in a lot of areas. In some ways it doesn't, but I think it's just kind of interesting to put yourself in that spot. I do have a little bit of nostalgia. And again, it's on the ride more than anything. Is this one I'm going to reach for? There's so many flaws with this one, unfortunately. But I might, by a hair, be a watch it at grandma's, where if it's on and I come back to it after a little bit of time, maybe I'll appreciate it again. Because I definitely had a good time with this, and especially with my 8-year-old, because he seemed to enjoy it. He was getting into it. And again, if you have a child that kind of enjoys that kind of stuff, it can be kind of fun to watch with them. So maybe that's also what's aiding it a little bit for me. Like you were bringing out, you don't have the nostalgia. So for me, maybe that's what's edging it out. I have a little bit of the nostalgia. And I can't go on enough. I mean, that squid scene, it's hyped up, but it does, at least for me, it was a highlight of the movie. I actually got into it. As maybe silly as that sounds, maybe people look at it and like, that thing looks so out of date. But I was like, I enjoyed it. So maybe one to come back to every once in a while. We'll see. Maybe if I watch this after a long time, maybe I change my tune and go, no, it just doesn't hold up. But give props where it's due. This was a groundbreaking movie. So that's pretty much all I can say is, not an excitable movie for me, but I can't quite put it in the attic, at least yet. We'll see what happens next time. So, well, there you go, folks. This was an interesting and fun ride to go on. This was just the aspect of watching a movie 70 years old plus. Just crazy to think about, but here we are. We have another one in the books. So before we go, Seth, why don't you tell the good people where they can find and connect with us?
So you can find us on YouTube, Threads, Facebook, and Instagram at Movies at Grandma's House, and on TikTok at LADX Media. Feel free to email us movie suggestions, memories, comments to moviesatgrandmashouse@gmail.com. We have a very excellent newsletter, so check that out, as well as a Patreon with exclusive content for loyal fans. As always, we are brought to you by movieposters.com, so please use code Grandma's House, that's all one word, at checkout for up to 50% off.
There you go. Good stuff right there. Yeah, be sure you're on our newsletter because that's where we have our monthly giveaway for a free movie poster from movieposters.com. It's so much fun. We just had a recent winner, so don't miss out. Make sure you sign up. It's free and you're entered every single month. So lots of fun. Don't miss out on it. Well, that's going to do it for our time at Grandma's house, but don't worry, we will be back soon. So in the meantime, remember to be kind and rewind. We'll see you next time.
Bye, everybody.